Today, in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, Organ Donation India Foundation and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topics. And today, we are going to have a very current topic, which is really very important because of the COVID situation. And the topic is reimaging marketing. People don't want to be sold on the reasons your brand is better or best. They don't want something different. They want something that creates a difference. Reimagine a way communities can be rebuilt. Marketing is no longer about the stuff that you make, but about the stories you tell. The practice of marketing has been known for millennia, but the term marketing used to describe commercial activities, buying and selling a products or services came into popular use in the late 19th century. The human tragedy of COVID-19 has upended lives around the world and had a dramatic effect on consumer behavior. For businesses, these changes are forcing marketers to reimagine how they connect with their customers and drive growth. When it comes to consumer products, many C-suites continue to pursue growth by committing massive resources to 20th century engagement strategies. They claim tech upgrades and new tactics as innovations, while marketing, once entrusted with the responsibility of shepherd consumers' relationship with the brand, reactively supports new launches. But we are entering a new age of consumer mutuality, where the growth came will be won or lost based on insightful real-time plays. There may be good reasons marketing lost its way in the maze of the early digital age. But looking ahead, it is time for C-suites to recognize the need for deeper insights at every decision point and elevate this uniquely human practice to the role of a strategic quarterback. A convenient convergence of trend clarifies why brand must sharpen their strategies intent relative to consumer urgently. Many C-suites only address these forces individually, if at all, as they have grown accustomed to capabilities launching movements. But in the current environment, successful innovations focus all efforts on understanding the individual. As the COVID-19 pandemic rages on, whole industries are on the verge of collapse or dramatic change. Sometimes it seems that the line between collapse or change is so thin, it is barely noticeable as time goes on. As old consumer habits collapse along with whole businesses, some industries are writing the new future, reimaging marketing the new normal. The industries and businesses that are persistent through the crisis are the ones that are quickly adapting to the new consumer behaviors. Marketers, especially, will need to think hard about what consumers in the new normal will think, feel, and do. Seeing as after lockdowns and quarantines, the pandemic is nowhere near over, brands will have to face the truth. The new normal is here to stay. All brands continue to transform and lay the foundations for future growth. Here are some key focus areas. The return of the CMO. Many of the companies that had done away with the chief marketing officer position in their companies have been slowly reinstating their key role in 2020. As many brands turn digital, the vital role of the CMO will continue to rise in importance. Shopping online. Some people are using a digital shopping cart for the first time. The global pandemic has caused a major shift in consumer behavior. Unable to physically visit stores to buy their products, people are turning to digital shopping overnight, some of them for the first time in their lives. Consumers helped e-commerce and digital shopping fast-track their way to many homes. A process that was supposed to happen over a span of few years consumers' health become reality in just over a few weeks. For instance, Amazon has reported a 26% boom in sales in the first quarter of 2020, a significant increase compared with the same period in 2019. For marketers, this means rethinking how to connect with customers, putting an emphasis on e-commerce and digital channel in general is crucial. E-commerce platforms are springing up overnight every single day. For brands having an economic downtrend, digital has become a crucial component of rapid revenue recovery. Data-driven marketing will become increasingly more important as new waves of consumer statistics are pouring in. Marketers will need to think hard about how to use this newfound data and better personalize it to reach their target audience. When consumers are at home, their mindset is not the same as when they are in a store. They are more relaxed and there is no rush to put things in a cart. They can simply close the window and come back later. So marketers will need to be trained how to use this new behavioral data and successfully predict behaviors in the new normal. Are e-services the new future? With the increasing popularity of e-services in different sectors such as banking and telemedicine, there may be new opportunities rising for marketers and companies alike. Those that will be able to recognize these opportunities and adapt to the changes in the e-landscape will be most likely to cruise through the pandemic less harmed. Adapting to a more open freemium model of services. It is no secret that the COVID crisis has hit businesses hard, especially the smaller ones. And when businesses are trying to stay afloat, a different pricing model may be the way to get new customers and potentially increase your revenue. Even though freemium models are already a widespread marketing tactic, marketers could implement a more open freemium model. This would be aimed at helping businesses in need. Potentially, this could be the bridge to a stronger connection to the customer base. Unemployment has made education the most popular kid on the block. With employment at an all-time high, people are turning to educational materials to increase their work on the job market and learn new skills. There is a hidden opportunity for marketers and companies in this new trend. Offering educational materials for jobs, especially high-tech ones, for which many people have no skills, may be a good way to establish a strong bond with your customer base. Home, the central hub for all activities. Now that many companies have felt the advantages of their employees working from home, many of them have decided to keep this as a long-term solution. Some departments of companies may actually adopt this approach permanently. This means that people now use their homes for everything from work to working out and entertainment. In many cases, people have increased their online entertainment expenditures even when cutting back on others. Streaming services as well as online gaming has seen a surge in users, and this trend continues to constantly rise. Downsizing from global to local. The near total suspension of travel has made local communities much more important. People have turned their attention from the global communities to their local communities and neighborhoods. Businesses who are looking to reap benefits from this can look to the localizing their marketing efforts. This could include tailoring messages to the specifics of each local community and neighborhoods through locally established channels. Purpose: doing the right things is in. Marketers must focus on communicating the right brand values. This is key if they want to establish a strong sense of connecting with their customers. Brands will have to be able to show that their brand value stands for something that other people can associate with. And to discuss about the reimagining marketing, we have a very, very elite international panel with us. They are well qualified, experienced, and known name in this field. And I would like to invite my first guest. He is Professor Jagdish N. Sheth. Professor Sheth is a global guru of marketing and an eminent professor of marketing at the Business School of Emory University, Atlanta, USA. He has been a prominent member of the core team during the initial years of the Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, the first Indian Institute of Management. He is the father of the first theory of buyer behavior with Professor John Howard. In 2017, he was named a fellow of the Association for Consumer Research. Other than many scholarly work, Dr. Sheth also published an autobiography called The Accidental Scholar. Professor Sheth was awarded by Padma Bhushan in 2020 by Government of India for his work in education in United States. And I would like him to say a few words to our esteemed viewers today so that they can watch and view his views and listen to him very carefully. Professor Dr. Jagdish Sheth, please.
Greetings. I'm Professor Jagdish Sheth. I want to congratulate Professor Mohan Agarwal for hosting and organizing this conference on reimagining business. In marketing area, I expect 4 major shifts which will change the practice and the theory of marketing. First, from physical to digital. Consumers are more and more opting to shop online, search for information, to do everything online first, digital first, and then think about the physical. We have seen record sales online in 2020, accelerated by the pandemic, pretty much where there is a lockdown, people are unable to go anywhere. And today, Alibaba sold more than ever before in China. So did Amazon, but also Walmart and Target, which are brick and mortar retailers, shifting themselves to online. Second major change has to do going from mass media to social media. Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and YouTube, each one of them have 4 billion users or subscribers or visitors, and they're changing the paradigm of marketing communication. It is primarily shifting from marketer-generated content to user-generated content. And of course, influencer marketing is becoming very, very critical. Word of mouth, which used to be neighbor to neighbor, now is going global. I think we need to watch the impact of social media on society and on consumers. But more importantly, social media themselves will become more and more like market exchange platforms, as Facebook has already announced, and so will be followed by YouTube and others. Third shift is from advanced economies to emerging economies. The future of consumption is more and more driven by emerging economies. And in emerging economies, most of the change is from unbranded products to branded products, and from buying from unorganized retailers to more and more organized retailers. Of course, this is led by China, which is the largest market in the world for every product and service, but followed by India and eventually by Africa. I think emerging economies, constraints, needs will be more and more the mainstream understanding as opposed to advanced countries or Western world. There will be reverse innovation. In other words, what emerging economies do first will become what will be acceptable in the rest of the world. Fourth shift primarily has to do from shifting from differentiation and segmentation to affordability and accessibility. It is not going to be limited to healthcare, for example, or to education, but every product category will be impacted by that shift in marketing from what we focused to what we need to focus, which is affordability and accessibility, especially with the rise of large emerging economies as markets. I hope the conference goes very well, and my best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Jagdish Sheth, for giving your very encouraging and very informative message to all of our viewers and for the success of our conference. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to introduce and invite my next guest, and he is Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal. Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal is the former professor of marketing, innovation, and management, IIM Lucknow, XLRI Jamshedpur, and California State University, USA. He is the president of Indo-Gulf Marketing Association. He is US Fulbright Fellow Boston, EFMD Fellow Paris, and British Council Fellow London. In 2019, he was ranked among the 251 most fabulous global education leaders. Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal, you have heard the report which I have mentioned or read, and you have heard the message given by the Professor Sheth. Now, as we all know, the conditions of the entire world, not only India or any one part of the country or any other country. Now, we would like to know from you about the reimaging marketing. Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal, please. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Mr. Goel, for your wonderful and inspiring, rather awe-inspiring note that you made for all of us. I thought that covered almost everything that we are facing and that we need to deal with in marketing. First of all, let me take 1 minute to say how grateful I am at this particular moment. In this room, there is probably no one more grateful than I am. First, obviously, to you, Mr. Goel, that you have dedicated one full day media conference for us, and we are extremely grateful to you for that. I know that how important is your time and what kind of social and other relevant issues you bring out. Second, of course, that you are given a fantastic, of course, I know you as a great speaker, but today you outdid yourself in terms of describing the entire length and breadth of emerging marketing. The second gratitude goes to my very, very respected professor, Dr. Sheth. I was never his student, but like in Indian mythology, there is an eklavya. The eklavya never learned from the guru, but learned in the absence. I learned from him by reading his articles, his books, and 3 or 4 times interacting with him, either as a co-speaker or as one of his disciples. He has done perhaps a great service to all of us in India in marketing community. A person who was born in 1938 in Burma, which is obviously now we call it Myanmar, to a trading family, rice trading family. And then he went from there to USA to do his PhD, MBA, and then wrote that phenomenal work called The Theory of Buyer Behavior with Professor, Satan Howard, as it is known as. Thereafter, he wrote many wonderful things, and each and everything he wrote was significant. It was not only successful, but it was also significant. The second thing that he did, and that is why I consider him as one of my gurus, that he was a giver. He was not a taker. He will give back to the society a lot in terms of whether it is his own knowledge or money or fame, and he will provide this kind of help to everyone. That is why first time in India, a business school has been named after him. And this is the only business school in Mumbai which has been named after Jagdish Seth, Jack Seth Business School. The other thing is very, very important is my all colleagues here, Professor Joshi. I know how wonderful he is. I mean, how many people you will see in the room who has written 6 articles in HBR, who has written 200 articles at such a young age, and still stays humble, still stays accessible. So, Dr. Joshi, I'm really, really very grateful to you from the bottom of my heart that, you are the person who taught me how to teach services marketing. When I started services marketing teaching in India, and when Parashuraman and the others, when they were writing about the history of services marketing in the Journal of Retailing, I was at that time struggling to teach first time in India services marketing in 1986. And still some of my students, and later on Professor Lovelock and others, they did a fantastic, fantastic service. So Dr. Joseph is carrying that particular tradition of excellence, but with a difference. And that difference is Asian thing. So that is also, in my view, reimagining marketing from that point. Then, of course, wonderful man. I mean, I have to meet a man who's more wonderful than, than is Sven Hollinson. Amazing, man of values, man of principles, man of simplicity, and yet man of excellence, who is always and always giving back to the society. I mean, just one little thing I would say, and then I will move on to the reimagining marketing, that he was painting his own house when I was a professor in Denmark. And when I asked him, the friend, why are you doing this? He said, Mohan, because my salary and the salary of the painter is almost the same. Do you remember, friend? Something like that. And I said, wow, here is a man who does things like that. He is so simple. And then, of course, young men like Nishit, who is carrying the tradition of accreditation towards excellence. He's not taking accreditation as some kind of certification, but he's showing it as a pathway for excellence, continued excellence. So that is why I'm saying I'm most grateful to you. Coming back to this reimagining marketing, and I will not take more than 1 minute because I know there are other experts whom I would like to hear and listen to. Three things I would like to say for which this Indo-Gulf Marketing Association took up the job of reimagining marketing in India. And that one was, of course, the COVID, as you have rightly mentioned. But I thought that marketing was being misbranded, mistreated, misunderstood. People were seeing it as if that it is a person to whom you would not like to marry your daughter. I thought that is not the correct thing to say. Marketing is a discipline of values, a discipline of purpose, discipline of mission. And that particular thing has become, to my mind, a very, very strong theme of the companies today. Instead of 4 P's, they are talking about 5th P, and which is purpose. It is, instead of talking about 7 P's in services marketing, they are talking about 8th P as purpose. So purpose probably has become number 1 P of any other organization in reimagining. The second very, very important thing is that the marketing has become universally applied, whether it is an institution or religious institution or educational institution or television program or any other. Marketing is being seen as the way to go. And which means that this reimagination of marketing is in terms of value creation, not in terms of selling something to someone who doesn't need anything. So I think we have moved from salesmen to value creators. And that value creation for me is a reimagining the role of marketing today. Third thing which I would like to say, and that is that marketers are not just seeing product as the way to bond with the customers. They are bonding with the customers directly, indirectly. That the point which you mentioned as customer relationship. And this relationship with the customer is either collaborative or co-produced, or somewhere it is totally committed to the welfare and wellness of the society. So reimagining marketing is not that like we are putting some kind of a new label on the old bottle. We are actually changing the contents of the bottle itself by saying that this particular bottle was for yesterday. Thank you, no longer valid. Now we have to create a new contents, new portion into that particular bottle. And that is what I believe, that the customers are being seen much, much more prominently, much, much more centrally, much, much more significantly by the marketers today in this reimagining marketing. And as you rightly said, CMO are being brought. I will say one more thing. Today they are saying that yesterday you needed a topic of or a course like strategic management. Today they are saying you should learn strategic marketing. So this is again another change, that from marketing strategy course to strategic marketing. And that is the point that I would like to come and stop. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohan Agrawal, for giving your views about the reimagining marketing. And you have very, very clearly mentioned what is the purpose of this conference and how to educate the people, because according to you, the marketing is not something which is taboo or which people feel that it is not good. But according to you, it's a very pious thing. The marketing is the thing. And today, the people have to concentrate on marketing if they have to survive in this pandemic conditions, whatsoever the things are happening. Thank you very much, Dr. Agrawal, for giving your such a clear views about the reimagining marketing. Now I would like to go to my next guest, and he's Dr. Joshan Waltz. Dr. Joshan is the Professor of Marketing, Vice Dean of MBA Program, National University of Singapore. He is a leading authority on service management and has over 200 publications, including 6 features in Harvard Business Review and over 20 books, which include Intelligent Automations, Learn How to Harness Artificial Intelligence, and Service Marketing, People Technology, Strategy, which is in its 8th edition. Welcome, Dr. Joshan, on our show. Dr. Joshan, you have heard what the Professor Sheth has mentioned in his message and what Dr. Mohan Agrawal has mentioned. And Dr. Mohan Agrawal has spoken very high about you, so I need not to say anything more, but I will only want that you definitely, your words will be very enlightening for our viewers and especially the youngsters who are watching this show very keenly to know what is the reimaging marketing. Dr. Joshan Waltz, please.
Mr. Goel, Professor Agarwal, it's a great pleasure and honor to be with you here today. And also in the honor of Professor Jack Sheth. I mean, I had the absolute pleasure of meeting him in person when he visited the National University of Singapore, where he was talking about the rule of 3. And I mean, as Professor Agarwal talked about, he is one of the legends in marketing. He made some of the most foundational contributions, but he's also a real role model simply because he is reinventing himself all the time. You look at his latest research is on digital platforms, data-driven marketing, and also on repositioning customer support services as revenue sales centers rather than cost centers. And so I'm just sort of so impressed by him, how he over decades keeps cutting edge and contributes to marketing, which of course leads me to my topic here today, because my core heart expertise and all my energy goes into the marketing and management of services. And what both speakers said already, the hottest topics really here are artificial intelligence, intelligent automation, service robotics, and platform business models. And that's where I really want to focus on today. For me, our economies are really at an inflection point at the moment. So we talk about the Industrial Revolution at the late 18th century, which basically made high quality goods affordable to the masses. Before the Industrial Revolution, I mean, if you wanted to buy a handbag, a lady bought maybe one handbag in their whole lives and kept it. Today, because they had to work many months just to save for that handbag, right? Today, you can buy a new handbag every month if you like. And services haven't had this dramatic increase in productivity yet. And I think things have come together. We are in the midst of what I call the service revolution. And why am I saying this? Because all the technology is coming together. All the technology is getting more powerful, it's getting smarter, it's getting smaller, it is getting cheaper. We're talking about service robots, robotic process automation, intelligent automation, biometrics, geotagging, cloud technologies, natural language processing, machine learning, and that goes on and on and on. And I believe that a lot of services that are currently expensive and scarce, and that includes healthcare and education, will become much cheaper and available to the masses at similar to the Industrial Revolution, at great quality and really low prices. So let me just share 3 thoughts here on this, 3 dimensions that determine how fast and where service robots and AI will be deployed in marketing and in service delivery. The first really is the task tangible or intangible? The second is it cognitive analytical versus social emotional? And the third one really, how much volume is on this task and how heterogeneous is it. So let me first talk about tangible, intangible. The minute you talk about service robots, people think about the cute little robot in a retailing shop, or that greets you, or in a hotel that brings up your suitcase or brings you in-room dining. And it's true, as soon as you have to move something tangible, you need a physical robot. But a lot of the stuff we have in service is intangible. So I don't really need a physical robot. So I'll give you an example. In Singapore, Changi Airport always tries to be at the cutting edge of technology. Currently, there is one information counter per terminal per level. And it's at the center. And it's expensive. It's expensive real estate. It is expensive headcount. And yet it is inconvenient for customers because you may be at the other end of the terminal and you have to walk to the center to ask your question. So I promise you, in 5 years' time, you will have a very handsome gentleman, a beautiful lady, as a hologram beamed down from the ceiling, speaking in all the common languages, can answer all of the common questions, like where's the toilet, where's check-in for Air India, where is GST rebate, where is passport control. And the beauty is the cost is in the development, but the deployment is completely scalable. That means whether I have a counter, a person every 50 meters, every 100 meters, doesn't really matter because it is very low cost equipment, just a beamer, a microphone, a speaker, and I'm in business. Yeah. And I mean, we just published this book, Intelligent Automation, and my co-author, he had a startup that was sold to Sykes, and that was on automation in call centers. I promise you, in 3 to 5 years, we hardly will speak to human agents anymore, simply because the call centers will be completely automated through voice-activated and text-activated chatbots. And in our book, we call this democratization of intelligent automation. So if you go to my business school, to the MBA website, you will see a chatbot that was only launched 2.5 months ago. And that was completely developed in-house by my team, who never did anything with chatbots and automation and RPA before. I sent them all to a one-day course on RPA. My university has IBM Watsons as a license. So they built this entire chatbot on IBM Watsons. And we soft launched it for 2 weeks. And then we officially launched it. And can you imagine, in 1 month, we had 20,000 unique conversations on this chatbot. Can you imagine how much time my team saved in terms of asking questions? Do I need GMAT? Can I get a waiver for GMAT? When do I have to pay the first installment for the fee? What is the requirement for, and so on and so forth, right? So now my team can really focus on really good, exciting candidates we want to convince to come to our MBA program, and the more difficult questions. And the same thing, you look at retailing. I mean, your retail assistants, every big departmental store or electronic store has a large Samsung section here. You ask any questions to the retail assistants, a reasonably sophisticated customer knows more than the retail assistants. I promise you, in a few years, there will be retail solutions, somebody offering these solutions for retailers, and someone like Samsung will just buy that. And there will be beam chop assistants in there who can tell you all about all the Samsung products. I mean, you can see where we're going with this. So this is a tangible, intangible. The next is the task more cognitive, analytical, or more social and emotional? And I can tell you, all simple emotional and cognitive analytical tasks will be done by service robots. Ticketing, answering questions in the call center, and so on. So some people, we can chat later, will ask, so what about the human touch? And I always come back, so you like the human touch, right? So when was the last time you went inside a bank to cash money from a teller? Right? You don't. You go to the ATM, and I promise you, your customers don't want to talk to you either on the call center. Yeah. I was working here with a bank in Singapore, and they said, look, every call to the call center is a service failure. And why? The customer couldn't serve themselves on the app, on the website, and the solution wasn't apparent to them. So they call you. So they do an analysis every month. Why do customers call us? And they try to design those calls out. And I'll give you one example. Some 5-7% of all calls were about the ATM swallowed my cash card or my credit card. And then you can predict with 99.99% probability that that customer will call your call center in the next few days. Yeah? Now, how do I avoid those calls? Is very simple. The minute I know the cash card was retained by the ATM, I send a push message to that customer. Dear customer, we noticed this ATM here at this branch withheld your card. We will send you a new card within 3 working days. If you do not want a new card, simply reply with N. So can you imagine, this is much better customer service than before and much more cost effective to the bank, and it's fully automated, right? So all that simple surface friendliness and simple cognitive stuff will be all done by robots and automation and so on. Now the very complex emotional services, or those where emotions are part of the core value proposition, they will still be delivered by people, like, PhD supervision, marriage counseling, going on a whitewater rafting adventure trip. This you want to do with people, not with a robot, right? And interestingly, when things become emotionally complex and cognitively complex, this will be all delivered by robot people teams. And I give an example in healthcare. My daughter visited me in Singapore, and she flew back to Munich, and she came down with dengue fever 1 week after arriving in Munich. So her doctor, her general practitioner, probably in his entire life has never seen a dengue patient. And there may be many similar diseases like skin cancer, right? AI today outperforms leading dermatologists on detecting whether a mole is cancerous or not, and so on. And I promise you, in a few years from now, if you're a doctor in America and you make a medical judgment error and you were not AI supported, you can be sued for malpractice. Because what you will have is an AI watching your interaction with the patient and taking all the biodata in it. And then the AI will give you a hit list of potential diagnosis and will tell you, look, with 98% probability, this patient has dengue fever. So of course, then the doctor can ask the patient, have you been to the tropics recently? Oh yeah, I returned from Singapore. Okay, then let's do a blood test to test for dengue. So I hope you can see where we're going here with this. Now, the last one is really, does the task happen a lot or very infrequently? And how varied is the task? And anything that happens a lot and is not so varied will all be done by robots, physical and intangible robots. Anything so in between will probably be robot assisted. And only if it's really low volume, really highly varied, then what we will have is people will have to do this. And my typical example here is the handyman in a hotel. That handyman has to be able to open a safe, open a door, fix a carpet, change a light bulb, look at a sprinkler and a smoke detector, and all of these things. And for the foreseeable future, we won't have robots that are so versatile to do all of this. So the handyman's job is very safe. But let me stop here, Mr. Goel. I know professors, if you let them, they talk forever. So I'm very happy. I know I probably said a few quite controversial things here. I'm very happy and so look forward to discussing those points. But back to Mr. Goel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joshan, for giving your views. And Dr. Joshan has highlighted that how the marketing, the reimaging marketing is going to change, and it's already changing. And he has given examples of Changi Airport, Singapore. And he says that today the condition is that the passenger has to search for a inquiry counter, go there and ask the questions. Where is the toilet? Where is the passport control, etc., etc. But he says within no time now, because of use of artificial intelligence and creating a robot, which will be answering your all queries sitting 100 meters apart from each and every one. So the things will be changed. Then he has given an example of a bank. And he says in the bank, right now, the calls are going, earlier the people used to visit the bank to take out the money. Now they are going to ATM or using their credit card, debit card. But he says, still there is a problem. They have to call the bank or the call center. Now the banks are working. Why the customer is calling? It's a failure of the services. Why not we push the message immediately if there is some deficiency on the part of the bank, and immediately the customer will come to know and he will be very, very satisfied. So that is a customer, because according to him, the marketing, today's marketing is the main crux, is the customer satisfaction. If the customer is satisfied, you are successful in your marketing and marketing brand. Thirdly, he gave an example of a healthcare, and he gave the example that his daughter from Singapore, she flew to Munich, and there the doctor could not diagnose easily because they have not seen the dengue fever in their own life. But now he says that the things will be coming where the artificial intelligence, somebody is watching the doctor, and that will suggest the doctor that it can be dengue. And the doctor can ask whether you have come from a tropical country, you have visited. If she says yes, then immediately he will go for a blood test. Like this. So what he means, he says that now the main crux of the marketing is how to satisfy the customer. But to satisfy the customer, you have to update yourself, and you update yourself by using artificial intelligence, by using the new technology. Although I would like to ask the questions to Dr. Joshan, but I will ask this question in the next round. Only I will say that these things are very good, but what is going to happen to those countries where there is a labor surplus, where we have lots of labor? If all this automation will replace the humans, then what is going to happen? That I will be asking in the next round, not now. Thank you very much, Dr. Joshan, to enlighten our viewers that what is going on and how the new reimaging marketing is taking place by giving more and more satisfaction to the customer. Now, my next guest I would like to invite. Thank you very much, Dr. Joshan, for giving your views. Now, my next guest is Dr. Svend Hollensen. Dr. Svend Hollensen is the professor of marketing, global marketing guru, Southern Denmark University. He has practical experience as international marketing coordinator in a large Danish multinational enterprise and as an international marketing manager in a company producing agricultural machinery. He received his PhD from Copenhagen Business School, CBS, in 1992 and has published articles in international recognized journals and is the author of Global Marketing. This book has been translated or adapted into Dutch, Spanish, Chinese, and Russian. Welcome, Dr. Hollensen, on our show. Dr. Hollensen, you have heard the views or the message given by Professor Sheth, then the views of Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal, and the views of Dr. Joshan about the reimaging marketing. Now, definitely, we would like to know your views about the reimaging marketing. Dr. Svend Hollensen, please.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and greetings here from Denmark, in Scandinavia. And also thanks to Professor Agrawal because of inviting me to this important event about reimaging marketing. And first of all, I would like to go through some of the iconic publication of Professor Sheth, and he has inspired me a lot. Our roads have crossed several times, and he has inspired me during his whole career. And one of the first publication he inspired me with was the book from 1969, The Theory of Buyer Behavior, where he presents his theories together with John Howard. and formulated the Harvard Shared model in buyer behavior. And I think that was very important event. So back in 1969, that's many, many years ago, more than 50 years ago. And then some of the other publication he has inspired me with was then in 1973, where he had an article in Journal Marketing, a model of industrial buyer behavior. Important event, important contribution to the whole marketing field, where he talks about the buyer behavior in business to business. So he transformed his general theory presented in 1969 and took it to the B2B marketing area and wrote this very important article in 1973. And then he has been active over so many years. And one particular article that inspired me was from 1995, where he published an article in International Business Review about evolution of relationship marketing. In this article, he presented the transition from transactional marketing to relationship marketing. And I think that is one of the important events in marketing, to look at marketing not only from a competition view, from a transactional view, where we compete against each other, where we are in conflict, where we are independent. He took it from there, from the transactional view, and to the relationship view. And that is a very, very important transition that has been going on, of course, for many, many years. But he took it into a very simple figure. And that is a figure that I have also integrated in my marketing books, because I think it's so much appreciated by students, because they can see right away in this figure, oh, this is where marketing is going. It is not only competition where we try to get more market shares, each of us, a kind of zero-sum game. We are developing also into a situation where we can generate value together, even with some of our indirect competitors. And I think that is a very important message. So of course we have good relationships to our suppliers and to our customers, but sometimes we can also generate value even with some of our competitors. And I think that was a very important article that I was inspired of back in 1995. And then of his later, of Professor Schitt's later publications, he actually also this year in 2020, he published a very, very good article in Journal of Business Research, the impact of COVID-19 on consumer behavior. Where he goes into these trends that he also explained in the introduction, and that the whole customer behavior and consumer behavior area is somehow disrupting this time under the COVID-19. And I think behavior is changed for good. This is changing forever. So we are changing our behavior not only in the COVID-19 time, it's actually something we will bring on in the future. And it is happening very fast. One of the trends that I have realized over the last year is, of course, that we are stuck as persons, but data are flowing more and more across industries, across borders, across customers, B2B, B2C customers. And this fact, we're stuck as persons, but data are flowing more and more. This fact is having enormous implications for our future behavior, both as persons, but also as companies. And in my field, in global marketing field, I think it has also already have enormous influence because if you are if you're a global company, you in the good old days before Corona, we go to different countries. We would go to visit our people in the different countries to see how they did with selling and so on. And over the last year, we have not really been able to that. And what are the consequences of that? Well, we need to rely more and more on local people, good local people. And how do we get to having fantastic local people? We need to do education. We need to have education online, seminars, webinars, all kinds of learning processes in order to educate the local people. So I think that trend, this kind of globalization, so we really go into an area where we see more globalization, but also more localization. So the concept of being both global and local is getting more and more important. So localization, not globalization, but localization, the combination of globalization and localization is the new buzzword. And it will be more and more important also in future, because we have to rely more on the local people that we have around, and we have to rely on our relationships to people in the different markets. So I think over the years, I have been very, very much inspired by Professor Chet, and I am really honored that I have the opportunity to say a few words here about the inspiration that he has given me. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sand Halsan, for giving your gratitude to Professor Sheth. And what Dr. Hallenson has made a point about the globalization and localization. And he says now the new word is, the key word is the localization. Correct, if I pronounced correctly? Where he says, because earlier people used to go, they used to go to the different countries, they used to educate the local people about the local behavior, about the local marketing. But now, because of this COVID thing, the travel is stopped. So they have to do all the webinars, seminars, and try to do. So now it is a thing where you have a globalization, but with a local flavor or localization. So this is the new reimaging of marketing, where one has to club both the things, whether it's a global or local, to be successful in the marketing. Although our Honorable Prime Minister of India has also mentioned, and he has said vocal for local, that one has to be very much vocal about the local. You have given a global and local. So thank you very much, Dr. Sven Halsan, for giving your frank views about the reimaging marketing. Now, I would like to invite my next guest, and he is Mr. Nishit Jain. Mr. Jain is the Senior Special Advisor, Asia European Foundation for Management Development. Mr. Jain had been one of the founding member and advisor executive board member of Mahindra, Equal, Central, and several other boards. He is part of the leadership and governing council for SDM Institute of Management Development, Mysore, executive member, FICCI, Higher Education Committee, and HES, National Apex Body for Higher Education Policy, Government of India. Welcome, Mr. Nishit Jain on our show. Mr. Jain, you have already heard what Professor Sheth has mentioned in his message. Then you have heard Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal, you have heard Dr. Joshan, and you have heard Dr. Hollenson, their views about the reimagining marketing. Now, we would like to know your views on reimagining marketing. Mr. Nishit Jain, please.
Thank you, Professor Lal. It's a proud privilege. Thank you, Mr. Mohan Agarwal, for inviting me. And it's a proud honor to speak among yourselves. In fact, it's very challenging because after speaking in academic, it's nothing is left to talk about. So what I could do is I could probably bring in some practical views from the, industry perspective as to how, important marketing aspects can be looked into. So first and foremost, I would say we'll follow the 4R, 3C, and the 2G policy in order to understand this better. In order to have a marketing, which is very, very crucial at this point, we need to define the objectives. If we have defined the objectives, that why we want to do this marketing, what is the objective, then I think we can plan a better marketing strategy. Having said so, what are the key objectives today is to build a strong reputation, have a strong relationship, have a strong ranking for institutions, and lastly, a revenue model to be able to sustain all of these things that we want to put forth. Now, in order to, of course, building a great reputation is good, but then is our business model right? So to understand that, we need to have 3 C's, as we say. The deep customer insight. The customer of tomorrow is no longer the customer of yesterday. And we need to understand what is that the customer needs, and that can be only understood through compassion, through contactless understanding, because no longer the customer will necessarily visit you in person, touch, feel. So we need to be looking at contactless marketing. We also look at collaborative marketing. So it is not one-to-one anymore. Now you may have one-to-many or many-to-one. So we need to look at all of these models. And lastly, the 2G, which is the greater investment, greater strategic outlook. Greater investment is extremely crucial because, like many others would agree, that when the Sensex is low is the time when most people will be scared. I think when the Sensex is low, most people should invest. So when the markets are in the volatility is the time when you should invest in marketing. So investment at this time in marketing with a strategic outlook for greater outlook for the next 5 years, how it would look like, what products you want to service, what services you want to offer, is very, very crucial. Having said so, how does accreditation link into this? Accreditation is a key differentiator because not everybody has accreditation, but it allows you to differentiate from all the people, because there are so many people offering so many similar things. So if you really want to stand out, if you are accredited by one of the leading organizations around the world, I think it allows you to certify. If your products that you consume are certified by respective bodies which are leaders in that field, you would be more at ease as a customer to consume them. Also, it enhances your credibility. Credibility, why? Because accreditation takes into view the global benchmarking. So when there are several schools in the world which are benchmarked, whether it is INSEAD, whether it is HEC, whether it is Fudan, whether it is Tsinghua, whether it is IIMs, when we benchmark you and put you in the same league, that okay, all of these schools are accredited by any organization, and therefore you are credible, you are seen as a different player. You are seen as a product which is conforming to those minimum standards. It is also about enhancing the rankings. Rankings today are taking a strong view beyond the perception, beyond the placements. They are taking perceptions, they are taking reputation, they are taking the impact that you have created. And impact can be measured through accreditation again. And impact can be of several types. I mean, whether it is a social impact, whether it is a financial impact, whether it is the intellectual impact by the research that has been produced, the knowledge that has been created by an institution. So all of these get captured in impact, and that impact leads into what we call a greater perception, and therefore leading to a greater reputation, and therefore the consumer is more likely to subscribe to your product in the great competitive world. Also, the next one would be the ability to deliver high quality programs. How do you do so? In the current context today, if you are an accredited institution, it is far more easier for you to collaborate, to exchange, to partner with the like-minded institutions across different geographies. Imagine a scenario that you are a great school in India, or a great school in Dubai, or a great school in Denmark, or a great school in Singapore, but then you are great only because you are catering to a local market. Today the market is no longer local. With technology at the back of everything, everybody can connect with anybody, and therefore to connect, I mean, you need to collaborate. And how do you collaborate? People will collaborate because they have a trust that you are accredited, because of that enhancement of the credibility, because of a good ranking. So all of these things work hand in hand. The other important aspect is the corporate connect. Accreditation reinforces and enables put in a great corporate connect into perspective also, because corporate connect is no longer limited to internships and guiding on the course curriculum. I think it has now moved on to the next level wherein we co-create. So corporates are also looking at those researchers and those students and those institutions who could co-create new generation products and services. And that kind of an scenario can come in through greater acceptance of each other through accreditation, which puts in robust processes in place. Accreditation also allows you to put in and make focused choices. Making a good choice is very essential in today's context. You will always have great number of opportunities and proposals, but which one should you pursue? I mean, you need to focus. You need to not be digressed from what your goal, what your objectives are. So accreditation puts in those processes and allows you to do only those things which are relevant to the context, which you can achieve, which are realistic, which are time bound. And it keeps you on a track, and it is allowing you to have a sustainable effort. So all in all, what I'm trying to say that accreditation has several ways to reincarnate the new marketing mantra, is what I would say. I was talking to a couple of other colleagues in Europe, and one of my friends, Mr. Cripps from Sorbonne, he mentioned there is a paradigm change in the way people are now thinking. A lot of students used to go overseas to study, I mean, particularly in US and UK. But now with the political environment, with the health environment, with the economic environment, we need to look beyond. We need to look at different geographies beyond the English speaking geography. While we all love English like any other language, but I think we need to challenge ourselves, and we need to be open and receptive to the idea that there is a world beyond these. So a greater thrust needs to be pushed across there. It is also something, a parent's mindset, I would say. I mean, parents typically wanted the children to have a stream or go in for a program which directly links into a career path. I think today, even if you look at the new education policy, which has been professed by the government of India, it's brilliant because it talks about multicultural environment and multicultural learning, which means that you would have an engineering student could consume subjects in history and language courses in dance classes and so on and so forth. So therefore, that multicultural holistic development of a human being is very important, and that needs to be thought through when we put forth our marketing strategy in place. And last but not the least, thanks to COVID, because I think it has really changed the technology orientation. I mean, no longer a professor in any institution would say that I'm, afraid of technology. I think people have embraced the technology in overnight, in less than 48 hours, I would say. I mean, suddenly everything moved online, and it has been so seamless. And even the consumer, which is the students, I would say, that have learned the way to absorb and consume this new way and a new way of learning. And this new normal is here to stay. So even when we have the vaccine and the other things, my strong belief is that we will continue to have these online conferences, models, learning maps, and collaborations. And this needs to be thought through again in our new marketing mantra. So with that, I rest my case, and happy to hear more from Professor Lal, and thank you again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jain. First of all, I would clarify, I am not a professor. Few people call me doctor. Somebody says professor. No, I am not. I am just an ordinary citizen of India, and not that much qualified as you all are. Secondly, now what Mr. Jain has mentioned, he said about, he explained about 4 R's, 3 C's and 2 G's. But his main emphasis was accreditation. He says if your company, your brand has been accredited by some internationally known agency, then your brand or your product or your services can be have more faith by the consumer, the customer. That is a very new thing, because everybody wants to purchase some things, but they want to see whether this is proper or not. And that is his thrust. And he says now for everything, even for the education or the healthcare, everyone wants to know what is the condition, whether it has been aggregated by some known agencies or not. Secondly, about the education, he says that online education is now going to stay, and that's why now everyone has changed their behavior. They have learned, and their learning is about the online education, which is now the main mantra, or he says the new mantra of the marketing, that you have to adapt the technology, adapt the new things which are required for the benefit of the customer, as well as for the producer or the manufacturer or the service provider. So he says that it is only possible if we adapt, we will change ourselves, we have to change our behavior, then only we can survive in this competitive market. Thank you very much, Mr. Jain, for giving your views about the new mantras, which is definitely, and he has given thanks to COVID, although the COVID is not a good thing, but yes, many opportunities have come, and we have learned so many things from the COVID only. Thank you very much, Mr. Jain. Now I would like to go to Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal. Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal, you have heard everybody, and everyone has spoken so nicely, given the new dimensions for the marketing. So my question to you is, now what is going to happen about our old school? Do you think the push or pull marketing are now outdated? Because now we are talking of the new concept of marketing. So what is going to happen to the push and pull marketing, or the combination of pull and pull marketing, which were common, are now going to be outdated, and we will come out with some new thing. As Dr. Joshin mentioned, that now the robot is going to sit and he or she is going to reply everything. So there will be no role. Or he even mentioned about the media also. So tomorrow, instead of me hosting my program, some more handsome or some beautiful lady will be sitting in my place and talking to you, taking your views. If you will be there, otherwise some robot will be there and replying. What you say about this, about the push and pull marketing, Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal, please. Please unmute. Please unmute, Dr. Agrawal. Please unmute.
Yeah, first of all, I would
Yes.
like to assure you that even if there is a lady from the most probably elegant country and most beautiful, she cannot replace you, because mind has always been a greatest attraction for anyone at any point of time. So you will always be there. But to answer your question, very, very beautifully put, the push and pull. Usually, we used to have a push marketing when marketers had an axe to grind and consumers were not willing to be a part of it. Almost, like selling a comb to a person who probably has no hair or little hair or whatever. And pull was that you were bringing the customers towards you by the dint of your knowledge, your reputation, your value creation, and your relationship with them. In my opinion, push has already been dead for the last 10 years. we were into pull, and we are still in pull. But today, the pull factors will not be the factors that we have just now described. The pull factor will be, what is your connection with the society? What is your connection with the people? What is the larger purpose that you are serving? Number one. Number two, how you are using the technology for the wellness and welfare of the people that you are serving. Like, this artificial intelligence, robotics, that wonderfully Dr. Joshin was beautifully explained. I think that particular thing will be used towards the wellness and welfare of the customers rather than an additive value in your marketing arsenal. You will not use it as a weapon. You will use it as a service tool to go to the customers from that point of view. So technology should not be a frightening factor, but it should be a friendly factor in marketing. This is how I see it. The other thing that you very, very correctly asked, is there going to be a new model? My feeling is that there will be a customer pull factor. And that customer pull factor will be that companies will not be going to all customers, but they will be going to the customers who have both wallet and a desire. Those who would like to pay for, or those who have got the ability, or those who have got the willingness to pay for the services that you have. In other words, we will not be going for what we used to have, the State Bank of India model, that make it everywhere available, allow people to open the account anywhere they want. They will now reduce the number of the branches, but increase the number of value to the customers and would like to charge for it. In other words, the days of free lunches will be replaced by better lunches, by much, much more, I would say, value added lunches to the customers, so where the customers like to pay. So free thing, to my mind, is not going to be very, very useful, neither to the marketer nor the customers. Value will be the point, and you have to create that very clear equation that what you are paying is what you are getting, in addition to the purpose for the society in which you are giving. This is my take.
And thank you very much, Dr. Mohanlal Agarwal. And I'm sure our viewers are enlightened, because people in India especially wants to know what is going to happen tomorrow. Thank you very much. And now my question is to Dr. Joshin. Dr. Joshin, you have spoken about the uses of technology, and yes, the question which I said, that this is going to replace and it will generate unemployment, not generate employment, rather it will generate unemployment. And already the condition of the, I will say around the world, not even India, around the world, economically it's very bad. The situation is not good. And when there is, Dr. Agarwal just mentioned about the wallet. Now there is no wallet, or if it is, with less of the currency or the credit limit. Now, when we are talking about luxury goods, luxury products, then don't you think that we will go again to the old model of our economics, and that is barter? My question to you is, do you think barter will again play an important role in the present difficult time, when a producer, the company, understand that this person can afford a Mercedes car, but he can't pay? Now, he can, now how he is going to have? But if suppose he is manufacturing something which is useful, or for the society, or for the company can take, or those agencies will come in between who's going to do the bartering, companies. Do you think it is going to play important role in the present difficult time? Dr. Joshin, please. Please unmute, Dr. Joshin. Dr. Joshin, please unmute yourself.
Yeah. Let me first address your first point about unemployment. Yeah. And of course, I mean, in our book on intelligent automation, we have sort of two scenarios. An optimistic scenario, which says it is the same as in the past. We had an agricultural revolution, we had industrial revolution, and each revolution created more jobs than we had before and vastly increased the standard of living of everyone. And we had a pessimistic scenario, which says this time is different. We are really reducing a lot of jobs. And we derived a lot of implications for policymakers, for industry, for education, for people managing their own careers. So we spelled out these implications, but probably the real scenario will be somewhere in between. And also, I mean, it may also be that short term we will destroy a lot of jobs, but long term we will generate new jobs. But let me first say it is unimaginable and probably irresponsible trying to stop what's happening. Then you're back to North Korea, right? I mean, if in the old days you stopped agricultural revolution or you stopped industrial revolution, you wouldn't have helped anyone. Yeah. And you can already see at the moment the fastest shrinking job category in America is retail assistants. And why? Because of Amazon and e-commerce. Now, what is happening right now and will accelerate very fast is the fastest shrinking job category will be call center agents. And the minute we have autonomous driving, which in certain controlled environments already work. So I mean, in the harbor in Singapore, the trucks are all driven autonomously. Meanwhile, the cleaning robots on Changi Airport are all autonomous. But the minute you have proper autonomous vehicles, drivers will be the next biggest job category that will shrink very, very quickly. Yeah. And I mean, the good news is we are replacing a lot of terribly boring jobs. Yeah, I mean, who enjoys really working in a call center or driving the whole day? So the opportunity is to create new jobs that are where we talk about marketing and marketing automation. Still, somebody has to develop the value propositions, the service products, the positioning. This all will be people. So people will work much more on the creative side of things. They will work much more on the interactive, the interpersonal part of things. So there will be new jobs, but of course, these jobs also require new skills. And I think that's really the responsibility of governments, of regulators, of educational institutions, of industry to prepare current and future workforce and population for what's going to happen. Now to bartering, maybe yes, but on a platform business model. I mean, what is I mean, things like Airbnb and Ola and all of those things, they allow people to in a way barter time for money and those things. And I mean, there are tons of platforms coming up where you can generate income with your own skills, with some assets you have that are underutilized. So I think there will be many more business models coming that help us as individuals to be much more our own entrepreneurs and our own stewards of where we are going with our lives and our personal development. And I think the last thing is really my co-author, Pascal Bonnet. He is incredibly optimistic of what intelligent automation will do. So he sees all of us sitting by the beach and reading novels. And I think, I mean, I'm a bit more with Mr. Goel's point of view that yes, there will be an unemployment issue. So question is, do thoughts like general basic income and other ways to help people who do not find a footing in this new economy, will they gain traction? So I'm happy to discuss more, but I also don't want to monopolize, so I hand over back to Mr. Goel.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My question.
Sir, can I join just for 1 minute?
Yeah, please be brief. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 minute. You know, the question that you are asking about automation or robots is the same question India had faced in 1975 when Rajiv Gandhi had introduced computerization. And the same issue was raised in terms of unemployment. But
which year you said, Dr. Mohanlal, which year you have mentioned?
I'm talking about after 84, 85, you know, when Rajiv Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi came into picture.
Yes.
So he talked about this particular thing, and a new industry came up into this, and India created the people for the world. My feeling is that even today also the government is doing a lot in terms of blockchain technology, AI, data analytics, only for this thing. Now, last point I would like to say here is that even in certain industries where people are underhanded, like agriculture, AI is going to help them. In India, farming now is using blockchain as well as using AI. So from that point of view also, this will be useful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now my question is to Dr. Seven. Dr. Seven, you spoke about the countries, how the countries have to change. Now my question to you is, do you think reimagining marketing is not only for the corporates or the individuals, but it is to be adopted by the countries to save the existing businesses and the country's economy? I can give a very small example of Singapore. I visited Singapore somewhere in 1984. At that time, it was a very small country, and it has changed. Because at that time their economy was depending on the duty-free shopping, largely from India and all those countries. Now, when the Indian economy was opened, that thing is stopped, almost stopped. The Singapore has changed and make a tourist a destination in a very, very big way. The country has transformed, and still that's why the Singapore is on top. So my point is, in this condition, as the post-COVID era, now when the condition is so bad, the countries have to change their marketing strategy so that more and more footfalls or more business will be attracted to that country. What do you say about this, Dr. Seven Hollins?
Yeah, thank you very much for this introduction. Yeah, very interesting. And by the way, it's very nice to hear from Singapore, from Jochen, because you know that Denmark and Singapore are among the world's top ranking on the most competitive countries of the world. The last ranking from IMD in Switzerland said that Singapore is number 1 and Denmark is number 2. So we are still number 2, but we are heading maybe someday to place number 1. But Singapore is, you know, a fantastic country, also according to these rankings. I would say that my country can do a lot more. Especially on taxation and all these issues. A country like Singapore is much more competitive. But what we are really good at in Denmark is green efforts, and that is actually something I would also like to raise here. Another mega trend at the moment, at least in this part of the world, in Scandinavia. And that is the mega trend in green energy, and that is so important right now. So after we have come over the COVID-19, the next mega trend will be green energy handling. A government like Denmark has now decided that they will reduce the CO2, the carbon emission, with 70% in 2030. So we are really in this sense in the front of countries in this area, and I think this mega trend will go along with all other trends that we will see in future. And Jochen is really so inspiring to listen to you, Jochen, from Singapore, about the B2C services and the services platform within business to consumer and consumer to consumer. The chatbots and all the services in the consumer area. But another important thing is, of course, to look at the B2B service platforms. And a service platform like IoT will be tremendous important in future, I think. Internet of Things is another mega trend because that can go in hand with energy saving carbon emission. Because I have done quite lately done some research on how you can save energy, how you can save CO2 by forming Internet of Things platforms, for example, in buildings, where you try to measure heat consumption, measure consumption from use of air condition, etc., and try also at the same time to have a nice comfort in the apartments in a building. And in order to do that, you need to form a platform on the B2B level, and I think that is very important also in future.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Hallenson. Very briefly, Mr. Jain, my question to you is: do you think in new normal, brick mortar malls and shops will suffer the most? And if so, what is the solution for their survival? Very brief, 1 minute.
Thank you again. I would say that now in education, we say the learning experience. Similarly, in shopping, it would be the shopping experience. And no longer the shopping experience can be the same as before. So like any other product, I think we need to think of a value proposition. We have to bring in new features. Just to give you an example, earlier, I mean, when people used to go in a showroom, they used to try out different clothes. But with technology today, you just have to pick a cloth in your hand, and it will, I mean, put yourself into that dress, and you can imagine that what it would be like. So I think we need to bring in those technologies into the system, I mean, to make a shift. And also, I think just to add one of the barter things, I just wanted to reflect very quickly that no longer the barter, which is the, I mean, you need to break your learning. So it can be something like in education, if I were to say, it would be credit-based learning, and therefore you need to have smaller modules because loyalty is not going to be the same. You cannot continue to buy a Marks and Spencer or a Zara forever. So since the customer is not loyal, you need to be continuously innovating that what is that value addition piece, how quickly you need to bring in new collection season after season, or maybe within season, you need to create mini seasons, mini occasions around which you need to bring back the customer to your shop so that they can buy out more and you can have a bigger sell through. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jain. So today you have seen the brains, the top brains of marketing, rather I will say marketing gurus. They have given the ideas about the reimagining marketing, and which is because today we all know that the world is facing most difficult time in this century, and that's why one has to change their marketing strategy, as somebody has mentioned, as well as to change their attitude, their aptitude, and then only they can survive. And the survival is very important, and that is only possible if we will change our marketing strategy drastically, and then only we will be able to sustain ourselves. Thank you very much for giving your views. And today's telecast, which live telecast was done by V4 News, Malnadu TV, Global TV, V4 Stream, News Gaon se, Samvad Sarokar News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring to you every day very, very serious topic. But tomorrow is Sunday, and Sunday is always a edutainment day, that is educational entertainment. And tomorrow media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. is Surtal with Preeti Pinky. Yes, you have heard correctly. The Preeti Pinky, the renowned playback singer as well as leading Dandiya queens from Mumbai, will be joining and singing the songs, very, very popular song. I will just say one song which is very, very popular, O Pia Pia, O Pia Pia, which has chart busted at one time in India and in the world also, rather I must say. So tomorrow, please join at 10:30, media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Sheth, Professor Dr. Mohan Agrawal, Professor Dr. Joshan, Professor Dr. Seven Holson, and Mr. Nishit Jain for joining us. And thank you very much, viewers, for viewing today's very enlightening program about the reimagining marketing. Thank you.